This is Yoga for Beginners, a full body gentle practice. Hi, my name's Ciara from Ciara's Home Yoga. For this class we need a block. We'll start seated on our mat with our legs crossed. To start, we'll bring a hand to our chest and to our belly, and we'll take a few deep breaths here, feeling our belly fill up with air and deflate with every breath. And we'll breathe like this for the rest of our practice today. The hand at our chest isn't moving. So let's get started. To start, we'll stay seated in Sukhasana pose. I'm going to turn so you can see me in profile. We'll inhale to cactus arms, look up, shoulders down. Exhale, bring our chin to our chest and squeezing our navel to our spine. We're doing cat-cow movements here, moving with our breath. Inhale, arching our back, looking up, shoulders open. Exhale, curving into our spine. Making it a moving meditation by moving with our breath. And inhale back to center. We'll bring our shoulders back and down now and do some hip circles here. Lengthening in our spine. So we're not doing cat-cow movements here. We're keeping our spine nice and straight, keeping our ribs down and breathing deeply. Change direction, keeping our shoulders back and down throughout. And breathing deeply. Last one. And back to center. We'll come over to tabletop now with our hands under our shoulders and our knees under our hips. For this pose, we'll keep our knees together, lift up our feet and swivel our feet over to the right side of our mat and make our way to child's pose. We'll walk our hands over to the right side of our mat as much as feels good for a deep side stretch, breathing deeply here. Feeling our belly pushing into our thighs on every inhalation and deflating on every exhalation. We'll walk our hands back to center and come back up to tabletop. Again, knees together, and we'll swivel our feet over to the left side of our mat and make our way to child's pose, walking our hands over to the left side of our mat and breathe deeply here, feeling into a nice side body stretch. Checking in with our jaw, make sure we're not holding any tension there, all while breathing deeply. Long, slow inhales and long, slow exhales. We'll walk our hands back to center and come back to tabletop. Hands under our shoulders and knees under our hips. We'll turn our hands inwards to face our knees, and we'll slowly move our torso back and forward, feeling a nice stretch on the inside of our forearms. For an additional stretch here, you can tuck your toes, and we'll walk our hands back, bringing our hips to our heels, stretching our toes and our wrists at the same time. Option here to lift your knees off your mat if that feels good for you. Any discomfort here, make your way back to tabletop, keeping our shoulders back and down away from our ears. And we'll come back to tabletop again. I'm going to turn so you can see the next stretch better. We'll need our block for the next stretch and place it at the right side of our mat. We'll extend our left leg and come up in our upper body, making sure our knee is lined up with the arch of our foot. We line up our block with our knee too. Shoulders back and down and tailbone tucked. Inhale, stretch to the left. Exhale, we'll bring our right hand to our block and stretch to the right. And again, moving with our breath. You can change the orientation of your block at any time to feel into a deeper stretch. I have very short arms, so maybe it even suits you to bring your block flat on your mat, or maybe even your hand to your mat. Find what works for you. I play around with different orientations of the block throughout this pose. Inhale back to center, and exhale, we'll make our way back to tabletop. Move the block over to the left side of our mat. We'll extend our right leg, making sure our knee is lined up with the arch of our foot, tailbone tucked and shoulders back and down. We'll inhale, lean to the right. Exhale, stretch to the left, making sure that our lower shoulder remains back and down throughout. And we'll continue like this, moving with our breath, changing the orientation of your block to find what works for you. And breathe deeply. Feel into this nice side body stretch. Inhale back to center, and we'll make our way back to tabletop. We'll tuck our toes and push our hips up to come into down dog. In our down dog, we're drawing our tailbone to the ceiling and drawing our chest to our thighs. We'll walk our legs out here, bending one leg at a time and breathing deeply. On our next inhale, we'll walk our hands to our feet with a slight bend in our knees and exhale, fold. We're going to stay in ragdoll for a few breaths. We have two options here. You can hold on to the opposite elbow, or you can clasp your hands behind your back and bring your hands away from your body, making sure you're drawing your shoulders down your back away from your ears. Again, we can have a nice bend in our knees here and breathe deeply. We'll release our hands back down to our mat now. Inhale to flat back, shoulders back and down, airplane arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, arms up, come up to standing. Exhale, hands down. And we'll make our way to the front of our mat. Before starting, we'll bring our shoulders back and down. We'll do some roll downs here and rolling down to a forward fold. You can have a slight or a generous bend in your legs here, whatever works for you. And we'll roll up now, one vertebrae at a time. And again, tucking our navel to our spine and rolling down, one vertebrae at a time, letting our arms hang freely and our head hang freely, and rolling back up. Breathing deeply throughout. Last one. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, arms down and fold forward, a generous bend in our knees. Inhale to flat back, shoulders back and down, aeroplane arms. Exhale, hands to our mat, and we'll step back with our right foot to our lunge. We'll bring our knee down, untuck our toes and raise up in our upper body and breathe deeply here. On our next inhale, we'll open to the left side of our mat. And exhale, back to center. Inhale, hands down to our mat, and we'll straighten our front leg, flexing our foot. We'll swivel on our heel here, pointing our toes over to the right side of our mat and then the left. Shoulders back and down. We'll come back to our lunge now. Step back to plank, lower our knees, lower our chin and our chest and slide forward into our up dog. And exhale, we'll make our way to down dog again. Shoulders drawn down our back, drawing our tailbone to the ceiling and our chest to our thighs, and breathe deeply here. Long, slow inhales and long, slow exhales. Our heels are reaching to the floor, they don't have to touch it. On our next inhale, we'll step forward with our right foot to flat back. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, arms up, come up to standing. Exhale, arms down. And we'll repeat the same again on the other side. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, arms down and fold forward. Slight bend in your knees if you need to. Inhale to flat back, aeroplane arms. Exhale, hands to our mat, and we'll step back with our left foot before lowering our knee and untucking our toes. We'll raise up in our upper body and breathe deeply here. Inhale, we'll open to the right side of our mat. Exhale, back to center. We lower our hands to our mat and straighten our front leg, flexing our foot and moving our toes from one side to the other, swiveling on our heel and breathing deeply. We'll come back to our lunge now. Step back to plank, lower our knees, lower our chin and our chest and slide forward into our up dog. And exhale, we'll make our way to down dog again. Our shoulder blades are drawn down our back and we're lengthening in our spine. Our heels are reaching to the floor, but they don't have to touch it. It's more important here that our tailbone is reaching to the ceiling. And breathe deeply. We'll inhale and come back to tabletop. We've two options here. The first option is to stay in tabletop and do some hip circles, one way and then the other way. Our second option, which isn't for everybody, is to bring our knees together, open our feet wide and sit between our heels. Shoulders back and down, chin tucked slightly to make sure we're lengthening in our entire spine and making sure we're not arching in our lower back by checking that our lower ribs are tucked in, and breathe deeply here. If you're still doing your hip circles, you can take a break at any stage and come to child's pose and breathe deeply. We'll come back to tabletop, cross our legs behind us and come to sitting on our mat with our legs extended. We'll bring our left foot into our right inner thigh. I nearly forgot. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, stretch to our extended leg, breathing deeply. We can bring our right hand to our left thigh and reaching to our toes. We're flexing the foot of our extended leg and breathe deeply. Long, slow inhales and long, slow exhales. Inhale, back up to center. And exhale, we'll switch out our leg, bringing our right foot to the inside of our left thigh. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, we'll stretch to our left leg. Flexing our left foot and bringing our left hand to our right thigh. Our ribs are stacked in this position and breathe deeply here. We'll check in with our jaw and our face to make sure we're not holding any tension there. And if we are, we'll try to let it go in our exhales. Our lower shoulder remains away from our ear. Breathing deeply and evenly throughout. Inhale back up to center, and we'll extend both legs on our mat now to come into Dandasana. In Dandasana, our feet are flexed and we're activating our leg muscles, drawing our kneecaps up our legs. We're not arching in our lower back here, and our shoulders are back and down, chest open, ribs tucked in. We'll bring our hands to our mat here. Again, I have very short arms, so I have to come up onto my fingertips. And breathe deeply here. Seeing if we can separate our toes. And release. We'll make our way to lying down. Bending our knees, holding onto our knees and rolling down one vertebrae at a time. We'll bring our feet in close to our bums, so that when we raise up in our head and shoulders, we can skim the back of our heels with our fingertips before lowering back down. We'll inhale and come up to bridge. Bring your hips up high, shoulders back and down. Our knees have a tendency to splay out here, so we'll make sure that our knees remain directly over our ankles. And breathe deeply. We'll make sure we're not gripping in our toes by giving our toes a little wiggle. Exhale, lower down, one vertebrae at a time. We'll bring our feet around a foot apart now and windscreen wiper our legs, moving our knees over to one side and then the other, while breathing deeply. And back to center. We'll bring our knees into our chest now and hug them. We'll rock from side to side if that feels good. Shoulders remain back and down. We'll check in with our jaw and make sure we're not holding any tension there, while breathing deeply. Long, slow inhales and long, slow exhales. And release. Bring your feet back to our mat. We'll raise our right leg to the ceiling. Hold on to the back of our thigh or the back of our calf or a strap. You can have a slight bend in your knee here if that feels better for you. If it feels good, you can straighten your left leg. We'll flex our left foot and ground into the mat with our heel. And breathe deeply. Shoulders remain back and down. Checking in with our abdomen here. Feel it filling up with air on our inhales and deflating on our exhales. And release. Other side. Bringing our feet flat on our mat and we'll extend our left leg. Hold on to the back of our thigh or the back of our calf or a strap, whatever works for you. If it feels good, you can straighten your right leg, grounding into the heel and flexing the foot. When we're stretching in yoga, we're also strengthening. So we're strengthening our right leg here by grounding into our heel and stretching our left hamstring while breathing deeply. Checking in with our abdomen to feel it rise and fall with every breath, breathing deeply and evenly throughout. And release. Bringing our feet back to our mat. We'll roll to one side and push ourselves up to sitting. I hope you enjoyed today's practice and you'll join me again for more yoga at Ciara's Home Yoga. Namaste.